Okay, so today I got the Mission TPR Pepperball gun, and we're going to compare it to the Byrna SD. And there's some key differences between these two, and obviously the most obvious one is the size. And that lends kind of to also their kind of, I would call, in my eyes, their mission, or where you would use them. This Byrna, I mean, this looks like a real firearm. One thing to consider is if you were to carry this, this would be interpreted by law enforcement as a real firearm. So that is something you would really want to be careful with, whereas this looks like it should be shooting Nerf darts, and it's obviously a lot bigger. A couple other distinct differences: the Byrna has a 5-round magazine, and the Mission has a 7-round magazine. Another difference is the way that the CO2 cartridges go in. This one has a very simple pin system where you just put this in and you turn that, and that's it, it's done. On the Byrna, there's a fitting. You have to get an Allen wrench, take that out, put this in, screw this back in. And the instructions are very specific that this should be flush. Okay, I grabbed an innocent stranger here walking down the street and lassoed her into trying this for the first time. She's never ever shot one of these. You don't want to hold it that close to your face. You can hold it with 2 hands, but go ahead and shoot it and tell me what you think.
Whoa.
Got some juice behind it, don't it? Good shot. What do you think?
I like that.
Yeah?
I want one.
Yeah, that'll definitely do you well to protect you. Now the other thing is their intended use. Like, obviously, if you were going to carry one on your person, this would be the one you would want. It's smaller. You'll be able to find a holster for this. You would not want to carry this around on your person. It's just too big, it's too heavy, it's too long. Now, as far as the power, I don't have a current graph. We're going to shoot it in a little bit. We're going to shoot it to some drywall and see how they both compare to each other. I'm pretty sure they'll be fairly close to each other. We're going to shoot some nylon rounds. But the one thing that I do notice that's a big difference to me is when you insert the CO2 in this, you're punching the cartridge. So could it leak over time and be not ready when you actually needed it? It is a possibility. Whereas on the Mission, when you put the CO2 cartridge in, it is not punctured, and it is only punctured by the first pull of the trigger. So that is something that you have to keep in mind using these. If this is your gun, and this is a gun I would leave with that in the house. This would be perfect to leave in a drawer or under your bed or something, because the CO2 is not punctured. It can sit for years loaded. It's going to be good to go when you need it. You just have to be familiar with the operating systems, that you're going to have to take the safe off, and that your first shot, you're just going to hear a click as it punctures the cylinder, and nothing's going to shoot until the second pull of the trigger. So, all in all, these are great alternatives to let's say, you know, a college student or a spouse that's home alone. You know, nobody's going to die with an accident with one of these things, but they have enough punch, especially if you use, they make nylon rounds for these, as well as the Pepperballs. A nylon round coming out of one of these at around 300 feet per second really ruin your day. But check your local laws, know the gun laws, because you don't want to find them out after the fact. Okay, so let's talk about another difference between these two guns. The Missions take a standard 12-gram CO2 cartridge, which is very common. The Byrna takes a smaller 8-gram CO2 cartridge, which is not as common. And obviously, there's going to be less shots that are going to be able to be done with a smaller cartridge like this. So I'm going to have to order some of these so we can do a head-to-head comparison. We're going to see how many shots we get out of the Byrna out of one cartridge and how many we get out of the Mission with one cartridge. Load these up with some nylon rounds. They're fairly common, and we're going to shoot these against each other. I'm going to put 5 in each one because the Byrna only holds 5. So we're just going to cap them both off at 5 and see how the penetration comes out, and versus the drywall. Now, another thing that you need to know about these weapons is, in most, I'd say not most, a lot of accidental shootings, people think that once they take the magazine out, that the gun is safe, that it can't fire. And that is not true of firearms, and it's especially not true of paintball guns. And I'll tell you why, is because when you load, just the action of clipping the magazine in there puts a round into the chamber. With a real firearm, you have to operate the action to get a round to chamber. That's not true with paintballs. As soon as you put that clip in, that round is already in the chamber. So if you do just like this, and you think that's safe, and you pull that trigger and there's CO2 in there, that round's going to go down range. And it's probably going to be unintentional. So that happens, that is for both of these guns. So you have to keep that in mind, that once there's ammo loaded into the clip and the clip is inserted, a round is automatically in your chamber. Now, with the Byrna, I've been able to get it back out. I haven't tried it with the TPR. We'll try it right now and see if that's the case. With the TPR, it just sits in a pocket. So it's just going to come out by itself. It looks like it took 2 out of the magazine. So that's fairly easy. So we're going to fire these up. We're going to load them up, charge them up, and blast this drywall. Okay, so another day here. I was able to get some of these cartridges for this Byrna because they're smaller. And these are the only ones I could find on Amazon. There wasn't a whole lot of selection there for seltzers or whatever, but I'm assuming all these CO2 cartridges are charged to the same pressure. I'm assuming. I'm not absolutely sure, but hopefully they're going to be pretty even on power. We're going to load them up, hook them up, shoot them, and see if the penetration into the drywall is the same for both guns. So for the Byrna, you got to use an Allen wrench. This is one thing that I think the Mission's a little bit nicer. The fact that you're not puncturing the cylinder and that you don't need a tool. So I'm going to drop this in here. I don't know if this is going to make a air sound when it seats. It says in the book this has to be flush. So okay, so it's only going to go in flush. That's pretty tight. So it's sitting flush. So I'm assuming that's punctured. We got her on safe. The clip is empty. I'm going to put 5 in it. These are the nylon jawbreakers. These are, in my opinion, a good round to be using for self-defense, because these will definitely hurt. Oh, so they even have a little window here. So, okay, well, okay, so where your indicator is, that's how many rounds you are, not just the. So now it's at 5. It's numbered 1 through 5. So at 5, we got 5 in there when the orange is on 5. So now we're good to go for that. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Okay, all these tests are going to be done at 15 foot from the drywall for both guns. Okay, that was very disappointing. They didn't stick. They hit pretty hard. They didn't stick. So the only thing I can think of is either those cartridges that I got are not as powerful either due to the manufacturer or due to the size of the cartridge. But I'm going to load up the Mission, and we're going to blast the other side here, and you're going to see what the difference is. Okay, so we're going to put this back on. You know what? There's nothing in here. The magazine's empty. We shot 5. There's 6, 7, 8, 9. You could see it dropping 10. But this gun shoots pretty hot, okay. So we're gonna load this one completely up. This has got my rounds in it for my home defense. We're just gonna go straight nylon. So, you know, they do sell various rounds for these. I mean, they have practice rounds, they have the Pepperball rounds, they have this is another type of hard round. So there's various rounds you can put in these guns. We're just going to shoot 5 because that's what was in the Byrna. Okay, we had one in there. So this was set for my house, so we're just going to put a fresh one in there, even though that one wasn't punctured. So you know the drill with this. You have first click's going to puncture the cylinder, second click's going to go downrange. So the safe's a little bit different on this. Push to safe, push to fire. So here we go, we're on fire. This is going to be the first click that's going to puncture the cylinder, just so you can hear what it's like. Okay, so you hear it, the cylinder's punctured. It's squishy on the trigger when you do that. It doesn't feel like a full trigger pull. So we'll set this up, we'll move this camera over here, and we'll repeat this test from 15 foot. So as you can see, the Mission is a little hotter. Definitely, I don't know how many feet per second it's going to be, but every single one of the Byrnas bounced off of the drywall, and the Mission rounds, they just buried themselves into the drywall. So, you know, just honest review between the two for what you want to use it for. I would say the Byrna's a great gun if you're going to carry it around, if it's legal in your state, you know, to take it out. And the Mission is something that I would leave in the house, in a drawer, under the bed, somewhere where you could get to it, you know, if you needed it for home defense. Interesting little, I was digging the rounds out, and the rounds, if you notice on the Mission, when I shot the first, I think it was the second shot, I actually doubled up on where the first one had gone in, and it actually broke the nylon ball, split it right in half. So that's pretty impressive. I've never seen that happen before, and it's kind of freaked that I, you know, grouped right on to where the one round went with a second round, but that's exactly what it did to it. Okay, I don't want to be too hard on this Byrna for, you know, like I said, a couple of reasons. These CO2 cartridges that I bought are made for seltzer chargers, so I have no way of knowing how much. Well, let me see, here we go. Gas pressure at 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 1160 psi. So I don't know, when you buy this in the Byrna literature, they say buy the Byrna cartridges to go in this. So I don't know if the Byrna cartridges are going to be loaded to a higher pressure than 1160 psi. So, but in all honesty, for what this gun's intended for, within a, you know, 5 to 30 foot radius, you have enough power to break a Pepperball on a harder surface like a person or a wall or whatever, because that's what they're intended for. It's just a little side note that you know, my personal preference is, you know, I'd rather get hit with a Pepperball than this. I would not want to get hit with one of these nylon things. I would probably think I got shot with a real bullet with one of these because they hit so hard. But hey, if you come into my house, There might be a Pepperball round in there, but the majority is going to be these pain dealers right here. So, you know, not a bad gun. I like the design of it. I will say one thing that I forgot to note, and I saw that in the literature, is that when it is loaded, this ramp pops up. When there is a ball in the chamber, this little ramp here will pop up. So, as you can see now, it's down. So that's a nice feature. The Mission doesn't have that, but as I said earlier, all Pepperball guns, as soon as you put the magazine in, if it has rounds in it, it's going to automatically put one into that chamber. And it's fairly accurate. I mean, you put them all right there, kind of in the middle.
Look, this one's still stuck in there.
Yeah. There was,
I mean, they made big holes.
There was a couple that went completely through it. I opened up the box when I shot it. There was one or two that went completely in there.
Is this the other one?
Yeah, these are the Byrnas. They didn't even... The first one was the deepest, and then it started dropping off very quick after that.